Hey gamers, it's G from the corner. Now, if you remember, about 2 years ago now, one of the very first videos I put out on the corner was basically me sitting down in front of the camera and talking about what games I wanted to see come to Nintendo Switch Online, specifically for the recently released Game Boy and Game Boy Advance applications. Now, my picks were, outlandish in a few respects, but mostly contained pretty expected games that would make sense to see on the service. However, since then, only technically 7, but like 2 of the games have made it over to the service specifically. Mario vs. Donkey Kong got a full-on remake. Metroid Zero Mission did come over after the June 2024 Nintendo Direct, and all of the Mega Man Game Boy games made it over. They all dropped in one day, too. It was lovely. They didn't even drip feed them. They just said, here's all of them. That was one of the best NSO drops, in my opinion. It's nice having those games on Switch. Oh, and also Wario Land 4. Wario Land 4 literally just got added, today. At the time of this recording, I kind of almost forgot about that. But yeah, other than that, even stuff as simple as Donkey Kong 94, that's one of the most reputable, well-known Game Boy titles. That's not on the service yet. What? But you know what? This has got me thinking about NSO as a whole. I love the apps nowadays. They have so much on all of them, honestly. It's a fantastic bonus if you're already subscribed to NSO, and honestly, it's a selling point to the service all on its own. But, I'm still sitting here thinking, wanting, kind of begging for a few games to make it over. Last time I just talked about games I wanted to see from the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance apps, but there's a decent amount of games I think I'm just confused why they're not here. I want to see come over. There's a few pipe dreams on this list, but honestly, I'd love to see them come over just for the novelty of the edition on its own. So let's start off by talking about a few games for the N64 app. Now, Nintendo's done a pretty good job of adding basically every first-party N64 game that people care about to the service, but there has been one notable glaring omission that I'm sure they're saving to give its own little fanfare to, maybe at a direct or something. It'll happen at some point, but how is Super Smash Bros. Not on NSO already? Come on. Okay, and we're done with that argument that games like this on NSO would take away from the sales of new iterations of said games. There are so many games on the Game Boy Advance and N64 services that are equitable to entries in those series on Switch. So, really, this is not a thing that we need to be talking about anymore. Smash Brothers should just be on NSO. I don't know why it's not yet, but again, I think they're just saving it for a rainy day, for a Nintendo Direct, just to be like, hey, here's Smash Brothers on NSO. I think it'd be cute. It'd be fun. My friends and I would play it for a little bit at least, and maybe dust it off every once in a while. But you know what? I don't know why it's not here yet. Literally all the Mario parties are here, and they never brought over Mario Party 1 or 3 before. Meanwhile, Smash Bros, that was on the Wii Virtual Console. It's just an odd omission to me. I don't know. Next up, I want to briefly talk about a game that I talked about actually around the time I made that original NSO video, Bomberman 64. This is a hidden gem on the system, so to speak. I have a soft spot for this game. I don't know why it's not on NSO yet, because Konami's not going to make a Bomberman 3D collection and put this game, Second Attack, and Hero on it. I'm sure all 3 of those games will make it to the service at some point. 64 has been re-released on Wii U Virtual Console before anyway, so, there's precedent for that game being re-released in Nintendo's retro offerings. But, I don't know. It's an easy one to throw on there. Why not? It's a fun game. It's a chill game. People would like it, Having any Bomberman on NSO would be fantastic. I don't know why none of the Super games made it over. We'll be talking more about Bomberman a little later in the video, but, this is the big one for me. I don't know why this game isn't here yet. Now we've got 2 pipe dreams for N64 NSO. One of these I think will make it over, but not in a format that many of us will enjoy. And the other one is, again, a total pipe dream. I really want to see the original Animal Crossing on Switch Online. Now, I know what some of you all are thinking, but the original Animal Crossing was a GameCube game. In Japan, it came out on N64 first. In, I think, 2001. It never got localized over here, but there is an N64 cartridge for Animal Crossing, so I feel like that one's a given to show up on the Japanese service at some point. The issue is, again, there's no translation. I don't think Nintendo's going to go back and make a full English translation for the N64 version of Animal Crossing. That seems like a bit of a waste. I don't think they'll do that. It'll probably just be exclusive to the Japanese service. I'll definitely try and play it on there, maybe I'll know enough of my way around that game to be able to have some fun with it. We'll see. It'd be nice to have that on the service, though. I think it'd be a very fun addition. The other weird pipe dream, this one's definitely not happening, but I want to play Doshin the Giant, and I could just run it on an emulator, but man, it would be so nice to have an official English version of this game on Nintendo consoles. But again, the game only came out in Japan, and it only came out for the N64 DD, and Nintendo has not expressed any interest in disk drive emulation on the application yet. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe this is the first game. Maybe they'll have a whole headline in the direct and be like, hey guys, we're bringing DD stuff to the Switch Online. But again, that would only really affect Japanese users because none of that compatibility, none of the F-Zero X expansion kit, SimCity, those games never made it over to North America. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not going to happen, I guess. But maybe, you know what, if it does, I'll try and play the Japanese version. You'll get a video of me attempting to play the Japanese version on Switch Online. I'd probably prefer a full-on remaster of this game, you know, with a proper English version of it. There is a European version, but I think it only runs at 50 hertz, so, you know, it's not ideal. But, you know, I'd love to see that game come back in some form, and this is a form to bring that game back in. Alright, let's move on to Game Boy. This one's kind of a weird one that usually comes back, but I don't know why it hasn't yet. I feel like it'll just show up in a random update one day. Revenge of Gator. This is a pinball game made by HAL Laboratory. I talked about Kirby's Pinball Land last time. That game still isn't on the service, unfortunately. But Revenge of Gator would be cool. It'd be cool. It's not as good as Pinball Land, in my opinion, but you know what? Having that game on NSO, that'd be a nice one. I don't really have much to say about this one. It's just a cute little pinball game. We have Pinball NES on NSO. We didn't get Mario Pinball Land. We didn't get Kirby Pinball Land. We don't have Pokemon Pinball. I don't have Pokemon Pinball on this list because I never played those games, but like, that would be fun. I'd probably like it. Why isn't that on NSO? There's a lot of Game Boy games they need to bring over. Let's talk about Bomberman again. Wario Blast featuring Bomberman. It's a weird Nintendo crossover pre-Smash Brothers. Bomberman, he's not even in those games. I mean, he's an assist trophy, so I guess close enough. Look, man, this is a weird crossover. Okay, Nintendo's re-released it before, I think. I think it was on 3DS Virtual Console anyway, and there's no English Game Boy Bomberman games, so like, why not? Why not throw this one on the service? I think it'd be a fun addition. I would enjoy it, you know. I think the fun thing about Game Boy NSO is that you can actually do the multiplayer in these games, you know. You can actually play Wario Blast featuring Bomberman with other people, unlike previous handheld offerings on Nintendo Virtual Consoles like the 3DS or the Wii U, you know. I would be down to see it. I think it'd be pretty cool. Okay, so this next one is pure novelty. Namco Gallery Volume 1, 2, and 3. These are just like these Namco arcade / console game compilations. You know, I always loved the Namco Museum games, and the idea of one on Game Boy is very funny. I want all the funny Game Boy compilation games on this service. You know, I said Game & Watch Gallery last time, and those still haven't shown up, but this one would be fun. I think I'd like this one quite a bit. You got Mappy in one of them, you got Sky Kid in one of them. I like those games. Bring it over. Come on, Namco. They're not going to make a collection of these. They're not going to try and sell these collections in a collection someday. So just toss them on the service. Who cares? Okay, now we move on to Game Boy Advance. DK King of Swing, man. You know, back in the 2000s, there was a bit of a Donkey Kong drought, so to speak. You wouldn't know it because there was actually like 5 or 6 Donkey Kong games released in that time span. See, we're kind of going through the exact same thing right now with the series, except everybody's way more positive about it for some reason, despite the fact that we're not getting the 5 million spin-offs we used to get. You know, Donkey Kong Country Returns came out, Tropical Freeze came out, it's been 11 years, and all we have is a port of Donkey Kong Country Returns. Oh yeah. Meanwhile, back then, you know, 64 and Returns was like a good, nice, long gap, but there was spin-offs. There was the Conga games. Jungle Beat was a platformer. Barrel Blast exists. It exists. I've never played it. I have it. It exists. But also King of Swing does too. And you know what? There was even that sequel on DS, but we're not talking about that one because they haven't put DS on Switch Online yet. DK King of Swing is a weird game. I've never played it. One of my friends wants it to come over because of the character Xanab. This guy's very weird. I don't even think he's in this one. I think he's just in Jungle Climber, actually. But this one's cool, too, because it's got Bubbles from Clue Clue Land as a playable character. I don't know. It's a cute game. I tried a little bit of it, I think, maybe at one point. I don't have any strong memories of having played this game, but I'd like to play it. I'd play through the whole thing if they shoved it on the Switch Online. Hey, it's an appearance of K. Rool outside of the original 90s country games, okay? I'll take it, honestly. So next up is a total convenience thing. The best version of the original Kirby's Adventure is 3D Classics Kirby's Adventure. It's a version version of the NES game that runs with no slowdown. It's insane. It's a miracle product. Nintendo never does stuff like that, and it is not getting ported to anything. So I would like the second best version of Kirby's Adventure, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, to come over to Switch Online. I think it'd be nice, you know. I mean, like, it's an easy pick up and play Kirby game. I love running through Adventure every few years, and you know what? Nightmare in Dreamland, I played through it once or twice. I like that version too. And having it on Switch Online, that'd be really cool. We already have Amazing Mirror, so you might as well just toss it on one evening. Like, I don't know, it's not big edition, right? But you know what? More Kirby on Switch is perfectly fine by me, and I would much rather go back to that version than the laggy NES version. So this one is another novelty one. I mean, they brought it back before, and you know what? I feel like it'll show up at some point, so maybe I'm just saying this to get ahead of the curve. But Mario Party Advance is a game that exists. It is a primarily single-player Mario Party that does have multiplayer elements that you can, I guess, play now because of Switch Online, but I don't know. It's a weird game. I've never given it a chance. Maybe I'll finally give it a chance with Switch Online. You know, I used to hear people dunk on this game, like, all the time, but I don't know. I feel like nowadays I see more videos of people being like, it's not as bad as you remember. It's pretty good, actually. So, you know what? Maybe I'll give it a chance to see if those people are valid, or we just hit the point where everybody who played those games in the 2000s is in their 20s. So, I mean, like, yeah, of course, they grew up with it. They like it. Okay, let's just talk about this one to talk about it. Pokemon. Well, what's going on with Pokemon, right? Like, we're 2 years into Game Boy games on NSO, and we haven't heard anything about Pokemon coming over there. Maybe it'll happen next year, you know, for the 20th anniversary. Game Freak and Pokemon Company started the initiative of bringing the Game Boy Pokemon games over to 3DS. They did it slowly and gradually, but between February 27th, 2016 and September 2017, I believe, Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, and Crystal all made their way over to the service, which was nice. Now we have Game Boy Advance and Game Boy on Switch Online, so, you know, are we going to get Gens 1 to 3 all on Switch Online? Some people think it's a big value proposition, so maybe they would try and sell those as standalone things instead. You know, another thing about Pokemon is that it doesn't really fit into the multiplayer setup on Switch Online. You know, in Switch Online Game Boy normally, you kind of just go, like, with the player one setup until you hit a certain point, and then it brings up your own screen. I don't know, it'd be kind of weird and, like, finicky to set it up on Switch Online. They actually did have a workaround for, I think, local trading and battling in the virtual console games, but I don't know. We'll see if they end up doing anything about this on Switch Online. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be cool. Maybe they save it for the 30th anniversary again. It could be a next year thing, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But I wanted to bring it up just to talk about it because, I mean, like, I said I wasn't going to talk about it 2 years ago, and now it's been 2 years, and, like, there's got to be some path where we get old Pokemon games on modern Nintendo hardware that isn't just remakes and remasters, right? You know, I was going to move on to my last big Game Boy Advance game, but I just realized Mario Deluxe is not on NSO. I don't really care much for this version. I mean, like, it's probably pretty fun, and I'll give it a run, you know, when it comes out on the service, but a lot of people are obsessed with the bonus features in this game because it's technically the first Mario Advance game. I don't know how it hasn't come over to the service yet. I mean, like, it's an obvious pick. Nintendo's acknowledged its existence many times before. Maybe it'll just drop a random day. Maybe Mario Day. It's going to be a Mario Day drop this year. I don't know. They dropped 3 random Mario games on NSO last year. Maybe they do the same thing again this year. We'll see what happens. But I would definitely give it a shot if it did come over. I'd probably try the multiplayer Boo mode or whatever it is as well. I mean, that seems like fun. So, you know, maybe I'd convince a friend or two to be like, let's hop online and play the Mario Deluxe multiplayer, either for a video or just for fun. I don't know. It seems like a cute thing. Okay, so beyond everything I've said thus far, my number one want for NSO in the future is WarioWare Twisted. They ported over Kirby's Tilt and Tumble, and that game stinks. That game is a tilt game, but it is garbage. I do not like that game at all. But WarioWare Twisted is a game that uses tilt, and it actually works. It's crazy, right? I want to see this game come over to NSO because I want a convenient way to play this game. Simple as that, you know? Another WarioWare on Switch. You can never have too much WarioWare in my opinion, so having 4 entries from the series playable on Switch would be fantastic in my opinion. And, you know, Twisted's fun. Twisted's fun and cool. Tilt and Tumble got brought over. That had gyros, so I see no reason why Twisted won't make its way over sometime soon. Hopefully soon. I mean, they just added Wario Land 4, so I'm sure they're not going to do another Wario on there for a while. But, like, come on. It's got to happen at some point, right? I mean, this is the game that 18-volt debuted in. That's got to count for something, right? Right? Okay, so I've been saving one secret surprise game for the very end. This game is not on one of the shiny expansion pass consoles or the Game Boy service. No, 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 no. This is an NES game that I don't even know why I want it over. I've never played this game, and it probably isn't very good nowadays, but I want to see Paperboy on the Switch. And it's kind of weird that Paperboy isn't on the Switch. I fact-checked it. I don't think there's some collection that has Paperboy on it. Tell me I'm wrong and stupid, and actually it's on the Data East collection or something, even though I don't even know if those are the guys who own this game, but I don't know. It's a weird one. Bring it over. Why not? I just think of that theme and hearing it in a bunch of early 2010s YouTube videos about white dudes reviewing old video games. I'm just hearing that. I'm just why not? Put it in there, They also made an N64 version. I've never played that one. I have no familiarity with it. I heard it's terrible. Put it on as well. Why not? Let's just get everything random from the N64. We got Iggy's Wrecking Balls. Iggy's Wrecking Balls is on this service. Let's get everything from the N64 onto Switch Online. I think it'd be fun. But yeah, those are the games that I want to see come to the service, at least the ones that come to mind that haven't already been added and I didn't talk about in a previous video. So if you're wondering where the Wario Lands are or where Donkey Kong 94, like I said at the top of the video is, it's in that video. Go watch that video if you want to hear a few more games I want to see come to the service. But yeah, that's going to do it. Keep yourselves recorded for more on Nintendo Switch gaming, probably NSO. I'll probably have an excuse to talk about this service again at some point soon. And yep, I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.